There is an ongoing tension. Against a backdrop of ongoing economic uncertainty and a rapidly transforming labour market, the concrete benefit and relevance of humanities training is often questioned in both political and broader public discourse. That was from the Australian Academy of the Humanities. I hadn't heard of this academy before, and I learnt some more things about humanities that you might not know as well. Our sector of humanities and arts and social sciences, which I say our because I studied a arts degree, which I'll get into later in this video, is that this sector is known as SHAPE, standing for Social Sciences, Humanities, and the Arts for People and the Economy or Environment, which help make sense of the human world, to value and express the complexity of life and culture, and to understand and solve global issues. So, SHAPE for short disciplines actually make up 59% of all undergrad and postgrad course enrollments across Australia. Just to go further into a definition of humanities, and I'm going to use humanities arts interchangeably. Anne Griffin Apadou for Curtin University provides this definition. The humanities refer to a range of disciplines that analyze human experience and the natural world and encourage creativity, communication, and critical thinking. So, what do SHAPE graduates do? They form parts of key industries, including education, government, nonprofits, and startups. Within the American context, based on 2021 data from the Academy of Arts and Sciences, 61% of graduates in that context had found jobs in management, professional, and related occupations. More than 17% worked as managers. The business sector was the most common destination, forming 21%. And then there was an equal split between 13% of graduates entering legal professions and 13% going into the creative sector and communication. What this means is that arts and humanities graduates are leveraging their skill sets in different fields. And an example that is given in one of the articles I read was anthropologists who become advocacy managers, PR managers, advertising execs, market researchers, social workers, political consultants, or equality and diversity officers because of their understanding of human behavior and cultures. I wanted to make this video because there has actually been a long-standing and maybe more so of late, devaluing of arts and humanities. In an article I read, the author drew some really salient points to demonstrate this. And this includes that teaching and research in these arts and humanities areas have become precarious. There are less ongoing full-time positions, and there is a trend toward casualization of labor. There is more of a focus on STEM fields. Amelia Crouch's article for UTS Vertigo opens with a nod to the customary hostility towards arts and humanities. The phrase, the arts and humanities don't get jobs, has long haunted prospective students considering tertiary study in these fields. If you are an arts and humanities student currently, or you have graduated from an arts and humanities degree, or you are interested in studying an arts and humanities degree, I think you'll be interested in this video. Interestingly, Amelia Crouch actually studies a Bachelor of Communication, Media Arts and Production, and has, quote, often questioned whether they will actually get a well-paying or at least stable career, end quote. I'm sure many of us have been able to relate to this at some point across our education. It's interesting because Crouch writes about how at her uni, staff were sacked and the Faculty of Arts and Social Science, FASS, was merged with the Faculty of Design, Architecture and Building, DAB. On top of this, intake for 120 courses was suspended, half of which were from these aforementioned faculties. Funding for the Faculty of arts and social science was cut, which led to redundancies, reduced salaries, and discontinuation of various humanities-focused subjects. I really feel I've experienced the effects of this because at the time that I did my international relations degree, there was no option to take an African studies major, let alone any kind of subjects that I could take within that degree that were related to Africa. And that is what really has inspired me to build this YouTube channel community and connect with people who are interested in African studies because that was not incentivized. So there was no offerings in that field. And I have seen historically that there were some programs that included Africa related units, but those are really a thing of the past. And I'm speaking specifically to this Australian context in which I studied in and which Crouch is studying in. In 2021, the Job Ready Graduate Scheme, JRG, was introduced and incentivized students to enroll in STEM, education, and health, which align with labour market demands and national priorities. The effect was increased fees for, as Crouch puts it, quote, areas believed to not directly benefit the market, namely the arts, humanities, and social sciences. Crouch observes the class impact on arts, law, social science, and comms degrees being more expensive. Quote, locking out arts and humanities for students from socially and financially disadvantaged backgrounds, reducing the potential for diverse voices in these areas, end quote. I made a video on employment, and it's an area I am really interested in and concerned about. And so it was also interesting to read Crouch's observations about the work of people with arts and humanities backgrounds, which is, quote, often competitive, sporadic, underappreciated, and done for surprisingly little money compared to the effort required, end quote. And so this is why perhaps it may be difficult to only work in a direct application of what you studied. You have to, as we looked at earlier, look at other industries and fields to actually have a career that will sustain your livelihood, which we know is very expensive in these days and times. So what does this devaluing of the arts and humanities say about our societies? Crouch shines a more damning light on what this devaluing is symptomatic of. A world that runs to, quote, the capitalist business gospel of profitability, productivity, and efficiency that has intruded our lives, end quote. With this devaluation in mind, how can we actually look at the arts and humanities space as a solution? A UQ study indicates that most current Australian high school students will have 17 different jobs and go through 5 careers upon graduating. There is versatility of arts and humanities degrees. Quote, rather than prepare graduates for a single specific job, many of which are exposed to obsolescence or automation, they develop enduring skills, knowledge, and modes of reasoning alongside specialist knowledge. Much more deeper, Crouch writes that, quote, the arts and humanities is who we are. Speaking to the current moment, Crouch continues, now is not the time to underestimate the power of these sectors. Between global unrest, the impact of AI, increasing wealth inequality, climate change, and distrust in democratic institutions, there is so much work to do. And there are cohorts of arts and humanities graduates who can get the job done. If you're an arts and humanities graduate, say with me, we can get the job done. I want to delve deeper in the rest of this video, looking at actually then what is the use of a humanities and arts degree more specifically. These degrees are designed to cultivate critical thinking, adaptability, and high-level communication skills. The quote-unquote human skills that AI and automation struggle to replicate. Rather than training for a single technical job that may become obsolete as we just discussed, these degrees teach students how to think, analyze, and communicate, making them adaptable across a vast range of careers in a rapidly shifting job market. Anne Griffin Apadu describes the skills acquired. With a humanities degree, you'll learn how to learn. Literally, you'll learn how to learn. how to separate fact from fiction, how to critically examine someone else's viewpoint and treat it with empathy, and how to work through differences with others to achieve common goals. In an article published in the American Academy of Arts and Sciences called, quote, "Stop Corporatizing My Students," end quote, and this was actually published as a longer piece in the New York Times, the author Beth, who is a teacher of creative writing in Mississippi in the US, observed in her 20 plus years of experience that, quote, "students who master written and spoken communication can change the world." Anne Griffin Apadu's article titled, quote, "A $1 billion industry where a degree in the humanities can take you," puts me back into my 15-year-old self when I started imagining what life after school could look like. Anne writes, "If you see yourself in a career where you can make a positive impact by shaping cultural conversations, educating others, or making inspiring art, a humanities degree could be a perfect fit," end quote. And I feel like at 15, I would have seen this and really put my mind to the fact that arts and humanities is for me. Arts and humanities students, I think, are dreamers, are visionaries, have rich imaginations, and can bring to bear a critical lens to imagine, a critical lens to interrogate solutions, approaches, and methodologies and findings. Some might have a stereotypical view of what students of this discipline are like: edgy, alternative, misfit, activist, idealist, impractical, head in the clouds, or even woo woo. And these are some of the things that I did hear when I would share that I was doing a law and international studies degree. And something also that I really noticed was whenever I would say what degree I was doing, which was a double degree in law and international studies, the person on the other end would just hear the law part of that, and international studies would be completely ignored. And this signaled a societal valuing of law degrees over the international studies side of things, or if you were doing an arts degree and you were majoring in creative writing or political economy, perhaps, it's kind of looked as, oh, what are you going to do with that? Which is the tension that this whole video started off with. Reading and preparing for this video was very enlightening for me because arts and humanities was an intuitive and natural choice for me. As I said before, maybe I didn't actually see it written down in those words that Anne used to sort of sell the arts and humanities to a prospective student. But it wasn't super calculated for me to enter into the degree that I did. It felt like a field in which I could thrive and grow in. So now looking back and actually asking, what is this discipline I signed up for again, has been very rewarding. Reading some of the reflections and quotes in the articles speaks to the potential of arts and humanities globally. And I connect with this. As you would know, if you've been here for the G20 Youth Summit series I created, I have a deep interest in African affairs with experiences rooted in Ghana and the diaspora. I think for me, the arts and humanities seemed like an avenue through which I could explore different contexts, my own identity, travel, and collaborate with people from all walks of life. And I think in many ways I've done this and would love to keep doing this. I wanted to make this video to address that misconception arts and humanities degrees don't get jobs and that arts and humanities degrees teach soft skills and not hard skills. Arts and humanities graduates are very technically capable and equipped to problem solve the contemporary issues that we're facing in our lifetime. I think that it's time for us as arts and humanities graduates as well to really realize the contributions that we do make, to put values on our own skills, and to find like-minded people or areas in which we can grow. I know that with arts and humanities graduates as well, they tend to be quite creative and multidisciplinary and have a variety of talents and interests. So I would really say to lean into that diversity of skill sets, because I think as we explored, what you learn through an arts and humanities degree doesn't box you in. It opens up your world. And so you can look at your career, as I've shared before, as a toolkit. That is how I feel my career is really unfolding. I have opportunities to do and try different things, and that is also where my curiosity is leading me. I love the local context, but I'm also interested in the world around me, which is what led me to the G20 Youth Summit in South Africa last year, and what always leads me to Ghana and hopefully to more parts of the African continent. So I really am grateful for you being here, and I would love to hear from you in the comments if you studied an arts and humanities degree, what you're doing now, what your interests are. Did you ever hear these misconceptions and stereotypes about what an arts and humanities degree meant? If you don't do arts and humanities, or if you didn't graduate with that kind of degree, what do you view of the arts and humanities? And also share what you're studying, because I think we all have our unique skill sets, all of these spaces. And that's why I love the broadening of the term STEM to STEAM to include the arts, because I think when we look at STEM without arts, we're missing a key piece of the puzzle. Madasipa, thank you very much. Yabeshia. I'll see you next time in the next video. And I'm really, really, really excited to keep growing this community. All right. Bye.